Good evening, everybody. I am Gargi, and I welcome you all to VFS Talks Mega Weekend. Today, we have Gaurav Gopal Jha with us, with whom we'll be interacting for day one of our event. So, editing is all about structuring a narrative such that your audience is absorbed in it. And our guest for today, Gaurav Gopal Jha, has accomplished a lot in the art of editing by concentrating on keeping the audience interested. His enthusiasm for editing led him to turn what had first been a pastime into a job. He graduated with honors in English from Ramdas College in Delhi. He began his career as a producer for the UTV Bindas channel, and after working there for a few years, he began freelancing. When TVF stepped into the industry as a newbie, he was offered a job there as an editor and worked for about 4 years, giving hits and making the digital world come alive in the entertainment industry. Bisht Please, Weekends, TVF Kota Factory, Yeh Meri Family on Netflix, and a few other well-known TVF series are just a few of his projects. His work is highly valued in the entertainment industry, and we're tremendously honored to have you today, sir. We also have with us today Amrit and Sarah, who will be interacting with you today, sir.
Good evening,
Hi,
sir.
thank you.
Hope you're doing well this
Good evening.
evening. Without any further delay, let's begin with the interview. Actually, when preparing for this interview, I looked into what you did in the beginning, and I noticed you did your honors in English. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
In
Uh-huh.
college? Right.
Yes.
What made you choose to do an honors in English? Did you always plan to be in the filmmaking industry, or how did that work out?
No, I never planned to be in the film industry, and neither did I plan to do English honors. After I did my +2, I just wanted to get into Delhi University North Campus because I had heard about the exposure that someone gets out there, and perhaps it was the 3 years that I barely managed to pass English honors, but the 3 years that I spent there was enough time to let me know what I really wanted to do with my life, and that's when I discovered the interest in edit.
Oh, in editing, you discovered that you wanted to be an editor in college, right?
So in college, it was 2007, 2008. Mobile cameras were a new thing back then, and
Yeah.
and that is when anybody could get footage, and that's what the editor needs to start off. So I had a camera. I did shoot some videos of my friends and all, but what to do with it? And that is when I discovered Windows Movie Maker. That was a free software on Windows, and that's where it all started. I understood what timelines were. How do you? I understood what frames were. How do you take random footage and make it into a story? Because when I initially started, it was just footage of my friends, and but somehow how to make a story out of small incidents. That's what I learned. It's not learned as in it just came about. It just happened, and which is why I got into this edit.
Is there a moment you remember, like in your life, when you realized you had a knack for editing? Like, this is what I want to do with life. Is there any moment you had
Yeah,
when you were making?
there definitely was one moment. There was one moment when I actually booked a train to go to Pune for a seminar on edit, which I did not end up going. That somehow, but then that was one moment when I realized that I wanted to edit films.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, while again researching about you a little, we found out that your brother and father were also engineers. So, and from having your own brother taking up engineering, your father being an engineer. What was it like to take English honors? I mean, how was the pressure? How did you face? What kind of pressure did you face at home? And again, I mean, now today you're a well-renowned editor today. So, what was it like at home? How was it to face your parents, convincing them that I want to take editing as a career, or I want to do English honors in my college? And how was it like to face the pressure then? Were your parents supportive of your ideas, or was it that you had to convince them? Was it a hard job to convince them? How was it like?
So, see, being my father was an engineer and my brother was is an engineer, and I wanted to get science in plus one and plus two, but I was not a good student. And back in my days, if you are not a good student, if you don't score a certain amount of marks, you don't get science in your own school.
Right.
And I did not want to leave my friends. So I even like that was the one moment when I thought that what to do. Like that was the initial step that I had to take back in class 10th, after class 10, when I did not get science. That is when I thought, I don't know, I was maybe made differently. That I wanted to stay with friends, and I took up commerce after that. About English, okay, let me finish that first. About class 10, uh, I. mm how do I say this? Okay, after class 10, and I realized that okay, I'm not going to do science. No, my parents were very chill about it. My brother and parents were chill about it because they just wanted me to do good in life. They had given me the tools. They had made me aware enough. They were enlightened enough, and they gave me good guidance, which is why it was never a great deal to get
Not you.
something. It was no pressure. It was not pressure actually. About English, what happened with English was back in class 10th, in my ICSC, I got 24 out of 100 in English. And I got hell scared that shit, I'll fail in my exams like ICSC, I'll fail in them. So, which is when I started to study English a lot. And I had Shakespeare back then. So the entire month of February, which is right before the March exams, I entirely memorized the entire Julius Caesar, and that made it interesting for me afterwards. So when I shifted into plus one and plus two, we had Richard too, and because I got so amazed with Shakespeare when I was reading Richard too, I started to understand the beauty of the writing of Shakespeare. And these are all which are coming to me right now. Like when you're asking me these questions, I'm just thinking what it must have been, and that is when I realized that okay, the beauty of English, and not English, but the beauty of writing basically. And I thought it was English that was great, which is why so I told you that I wanted to get into North Campus. I could have taken anything. I could have taken history honors, philosophy, psychology. I was okay with anything. Just that I was a little more inclined towards English after failing in class 10 and doing really well in plus one and plus two. And somehow I got the best marks in English in plus two. So out of all my subjects. And then there was when I went to Delhi University, they were having exams for English because I could not take commerce, I could not take economics because I had barely scored some 79%. I often tell people that thankfully in India I was a bad student, which is why I could take these paths. If I would have been a good student, I would have been any other, like I would have been doing engineering and stuff like that. So, but then that is how I got into English, and that is how I fit. And but then when I got into English, I realized that it was not English actually. It was the storytelling part of it. It was a lot of other things. It was hanging around, and mostly it was hanging around with friends. One of my friends was an animator. He was studying animation in Mac, and that is when I realized, like he told me, okay, you try this. This is a profession, editing, and that's when I got into this.
Right, sir. It's really a roller coaster ride. I mean, having a hobby like editing using Windows Phone, and then getting taking English honors in college, then going to a producer in UTV Bindas. From that, jumping to becoming getting into TVF as editor, and here you are, right now well established editor. So, kindly talk us through experience. So we are really keenly waiting to know what your experience was like through this journey of yours, and what is the level of satisfaction that you have right now. I mean, being at this top position.
Uh, the initial journey was extremely difficult. It did not feel difficult when I was doing it because I was so engrossed in what I was doing that I did not realize that it was a struggle or a struggle period. The initial 6 years, I would say, I slept for 4 to 5 hours for a day. The initial 6 years, I did not have a lot of money. The initial 6 years were very, 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 very difficult. Uh, Lately, people who want to like come and work for me or want to learn, they tell me ki, is there a project? Is there a project? Is there a project available? Then I'll come, or I'll join you, which makes me feel, it's very weird because I don't know if anybody can get a job like that by sitting and expecting something to happen first and then going for it. So what happened with me initially was that I was doing the job of my seniors. Always, I was doing the job of my seniors while I was doing whatever position I am in, until it reached a point where I was just a producer and I was acting as the creative director of the show. There have been shows where I have been talking directly to the producers. Like I have had meetings with Ronnie Screwwala just as a producer, because there was no creative director above me. So there's a lot of churning and there is a lot of struggle that goes behind. But then it does not matter while you are going through it because you're so engrossed doing what you are, and I think that is the only way into this industry because this is a very closed, small, competitive industry and a very personal industry. Personal industry, as in people who I am friends with. I choose to make friends. I choose to make films with them rather than somebody who sees me as a very good editor. So there are groups that come, they make films. There are eras of people who come together, make something, and then they grow together. Uh, so if you want to come to Mumbai, you have friends first who are interested in film, and that team will go together, and that's how it is. That's what's going on right now.
Right, sir. So, like the way you mentioned that passion is what drives you. I mean, nowadays we see a lot of people, like all the youngsters right now. We all have a lot of hobbies, but it's often seem that we are not able to pursue due to various reasons, maybe pressure at home or whatever the case it may be. But determination is what keeps you alive, and really inspirational about you that you've kept striving to get that opportunity to becoming an established editor. So, sir, when did you? What was your first job like? Like, when did you find a career in? Was it in the film industry, or did you have another side job before you came into this film industry as a producer? If I'm not wrong.
No, see, the thing is that ignorance is way stronger than conviction. Okay, I was when I look back at my struggle, I think I was ignorant enough to just jump into it as it is. I did not have any other job. I came to Mumbai. I did a 6 months course in edit, which was okay. It did not lead me anywhere. I gave around 10 interviews, and none of them worked out because I was, as I said, I was way too inexperienced, and people generally tend to work with people they know. It's more of a reference than one-on-one interview meeting after which you get the jobs. So I gave around 10 interviews. I was back on my way back to Pune, thinking that maybe this is not the way to go. This is not happening. When I got a call, that was my 11th interview where I met Vipin Chaudhary. He's a post producer. He was a post producer in UTV Vindas, and he offered me, like, I talked to him. I showed him some stuff, and some stuff as in whatever I had made in my film school, and then I came back. When I came back home, I was like, no, I have to make this happen. 10 interviews have happened, and I have not gotten this. I have to go back and show him what I really make. So I had made a trailer of Wednesday. I had made a trailer of Gladiator. I showed that. I went back. I told him, sir, that's rubbish. Whatever I had made it in my film school, I told him, sir, don't go with this. I don't feel confident showing you this. Don't see this. I showed him some the 2 trailers that I made. And then he said, no, don't worry. I'm any which way not judging you on your capabilities as of now. We are just looking for an editor. My first job, my father had already warned me, not warned me, but he had told me that you might even have to go and serve water for them in the initial times. So be ready for that. So I was in that mindset that you never know. This was to completely unknown territory because engineering, doctors, we already know what path to take. I know what people do, how you grow, how you go ahead in that. This was completely unknown territory. So I was prepared for the worst. Hope for the best and be prepared for the worst. So my first job that I got, the first task that I got was to write a CD. A complete episode was made, and I was supposed to make those CDs. I have done jobs like I've taken hard disk on my bike to different places, like the thing Dunzo does right now. Dunzo, if you've heard of the app, I've done that job also. So it all requires the entire thing was all of this a combination of you give me whatever, I'll do it. You give me whatever, I'll do it. Then in my second show, what happened because of that was I wanted to become irreplaceable. I want for a person, I wanted to become irreplaceable, be it however it be. So that is exactly what happened. In the next show, he got me back again, and then the third show happened. And then, since he was a known producer, he used to get a lot of shows, and I kept doing all these jobs, and until I started to just do producing. Like I understood what content is, how to make content, because I initially started in reality. So in reality, what happened? Reality television. Reality, what happens is you just shoot X, Y, Z, whatever is happening. You just get all the coverage, and you make the story on the edit. And I thought that that building years of making random nothing into a story taught me a lot about how to make stories, how stories work, what requires stories. I'm sorry. Okay. So I started with that. I did reality shows. I did Super Dude. That was a cheap show that happened on UTV. I did Emotional Atyachar. I did a lot of other shows also, Welcome and etc. There were a lot of shows. One of the shows that really there was a good show that it was called Police Dial 100. So what happened in that show was these our producers used to stay on the police stations, and anytime a case came, They used to run to the place. They used to shoot whatever happened, and later on they used to get the VDs. VDs are video diaries, which are interviews of the police officer, investigation officers, and all. And we had to make the story out of that. So that those were 10 episodes that I made. So it was a lot of practice, practice, day and night practice. And the struggle is something like I have slept on studio floors. Me and my editor have slept on studio floors for nights because there were some feedbacks that had to happen, and then you have to give it out. So all of those things have happened, but you never really understand. But because you're on a high, you're on a trip. You're just doing it as it comes. It's a high. So after that, TVF had made pictures, and TVF had already made permanent roommates, and I was very fascinated by the new kind of storytelling that was happening, and I thought that I could be a part of it. I could do well with them if I get into this team. They could use my potential as an editor. So the first job that I did for TVF was back in November 2015. It was a sketch called Sensor Cutiapa, and it so happened that TVF had a lot of work that month, and they did not have editors. So one of the people knew me, so I said, yeah, fine, I'll do it. I won't charge for it. I have my day thing in the day. I'll come in the night, sit with your editor, like sit with your producer, and I'll edit it through the night. So I spent around 6 days editing that with Raghav Subbu, the director of Kota Factory. And that was my first sketch. So he was the associate creative director on that sketch that time. I was the editor on that sketch, and we spent 6 nights editing that. So that was our first sketch that I did. After that, I got into my own reality mode zone. But in May 2016, TVF got back to me and offering me a job, and they said ki they're looking for an editor, and then I joined TVF. After I joined TVF, the same thing started all over again. I wanted to be irreplaceable. So I spent days and nights working for them because at that time they were really small. TVF was really, really, really small. And they were bombarded with a lot of content they were getting a lot of paid partnership and all that integration and all that stuff. So a lot of sketches from in 2016, 2017 have all been done by me. A lot of pilot episodes, like for example, The Bachelor. There's a Bachelor versus Ghost and Bachelor. The pilot episode was Bachelors versus Ghost. The pilot episode, as in the trial episode. So that was edited by me. Then the first Fathers episode. Like all the new trials were done with me, and all that stuff happened. So when they entered the web series zone, I got that. By that time, I had gained enough confidence in TVF to be known as the editor for TVF. And since then, everything that they have been doing, I have been doing it.
Just out of curiosity, you keep saying this whenever you join a new company. You have this principle of being irreplaceable. Just wondering, did you get that from like your father or one of your parents, or is that something that came naturally? Principle of being irreplaceable wherever you be.
I think being irreplaceable is the only way to go. That is how I am in life. You have to be irreplaceable so that you can do things your way. Unless you are irreplaceable, you can't do things your way. So to be able to do things my way, the way I want to be, to have that conviction, I have to be first irreplaceable. For example, to be able to make something into a black and white show in 2019, I had to have that conviction. I had to be there for 4 years before, like 3 years before I could have that strong an opinion to
Hmm.
be able to, like, it was not just my thought, but it was a but we were all part of TVF for so long, and we had convinced them with our work so much that these people do things right, because you are only as good as your last work. In our industry, you are only as good as your last work. So
It
to
has to keep
and
getting
you
better.
have, yeah, you have to keep getting better. And the only way, if you are getting better, you are just being irreplaceable.
Right. Right.
It's all mixed up.
Sorry.
It's all
Right. The Kota Factory was it always supposed to be black and white, or did that decision come in after it was shot, or like somewhere in the editing process?
no. Kota Factory. The first call that I got was from Raghav, the director, asking me if we should make Kota Factory black and white, and that was a month before the shoot happened. Uh, when he called me and asked me, like, he proposed this idea, I wanted the reason out of it, and the reason were multiple, and I wanted that reason to be converted through our show to the audience. Like, the reason needs to be clear. Even if we are sorry, so even if the reason, we had to clarify the reason through our storytelling. We had to tell them. So I black and white, between me, the director, the DOP, and the writers, the five of us, we were convinced. There were two writers, Abhishek Yadav and Saurav Khanna, the DOP Jalen Paul, me, and Raghav, the director. So we were on the same page before a month of the shoot. But it's a big decision for the corporates. It's a huge decision for the people who are putting in money to take this call to make an entire show in 2009 black and white. They have to be, either really convinced or ignorant, as I say, to be able to give us this choice. But after that meeting, that I remember we had a meeting with Samir Saxena, uh, yes, like chief executive officer of TVF back then, and a lot of other people. Yeah, you want to say something? What? Your mic is off. Tell me. Mic is off.
Sorry, sir. So sorry for interrupting you, but this we have some difficulties with this meeting. Let's take a 5-minute break and restart the meeting.
Okay.